I'm Scott Allen Miller. It is Friday, the 22nd of October, 2021. And today we are in beautiful Geneseo, New York. This is about 11 miles from where I grew up. And this is the town where Dominica and I had our first house and where she went to university and where my father lives now. So today is Deal with the Phone Day. Pretty much everything today revolves around dealing with the phone, because if you've been watching the show for the last couple of days, I am without a cell phone and without a camera. So we're under a bit of an emergency because I need these things for work. So that's a really big deal. So this morning, got up. We knew that the stores up at the mall did not open until 9 or 10. So we were able to wait a little bit before we got started for the day. And so took Luciana and Dominica to Tim Hortons to start the day. Got some donuts and breakfast sandwiches for everybody. Came back, had breakfast, managed to make sure I had no meetings lined up for the day, that I wasn't able to move at least. And so by about 10:30, Dominica and I were able to get on the road and head to Eastview Mall in Victor, New York, which was the nearest location that has both a T-Mobile store and the nearest Apple store, because we don't know who we need to deal with. So we drove up. That takes almost an hour. And in our Toyota 4Runner, I'm not sure if I can get it in. That's our rented Toyota 4Runner right there. And so we drove up there, got to the mall. We started by going to T-Mobile. Went to T-Mobile, and they're like, oh, sure, we'll be glad to help you. This doesn't seem like a big deal. As soon as they went into our account, they're like, oh, I'm sorry. You appear to have a business account, and it's locked. We're not allowed to do anything for you. You have to call this number of this guy in your account. We're like, okay. So we call that number over and over and over again. It appears to be disconnected. It goes directly to voicemail. We left messages, never got a call back. I'm recording this in the future, never got a call back. Never got a call back from engineering either. If you remember, they said, give us some time for engineering to get back to you. Well, they didn't in one day. In the future, we know they didn't in 2 days. So it's a good thing we didn't wait for them, because they were not coming back in any reasonable amount of time, if they ever do. And business support never got back to us. But at the time, we were still hopeful that people would get back to us. So we left messages for him, but it was going straight to voicemail. The name he said on the voicemail was not the same as the person that we were told to contact by T-Mobile, but it did say T-Mobile, so we knew we were calling T-Mobile. We just weren't getting the person we expected to get. Whole system was not very good. So we waited a while for him to call us back. He didn't. So we went into the store again. We said, okay, the person that is locking our account isn't at work. What do we do? And they're like, okay, call general business support. So we called them. They weren't available. They had an hour and a half callback, and their message didn't work, so it kept saying what to do, and it was just gibberish. It would say, press to do whatever. And so we tried different numbers. It had just played music and never told you if it worked. Eventually, we got it to register that it would call us back, because you couldn't wait. It was so long. So we went back into the store. Okay, they've told us to wait. We don't know if they're going to get back to us. It's hours. We really need to deal with this. The store's like, let us see what we can do. And basically their answer is, we can do nothing. We can neither fix your phone, nor replace your phone, nor can we make any changes on your account, nor can we take a trade-in. We can't do anything. You're screwed. And they had all kinds of misinformation on the account, and they're telling us the phone's paid off, then they're telling us it's not. Like, they just didn't know what was going on. The whole thing was a mess. And they're like, our best recommendation is to not buy from T-Mobile. Go to the Apple store, buy from them, and have them move over the account. They can just do that. They do it all the time. We're like, okay, now we have to buy. Officially, the recommendation from T-Mobile is, you're screwed. You should not have been doing business with T-Mobile. You certainly should not have been on a T-Mobile business account, because both things totally screwed us. And now you need to go to a third party and buy a phone from them, because we're helpless. And if you buy from us, there's no support. You're just screwed on both the account and the phone side. Not happy. So we went to the Apple store. Apple's like, of course we can help you. We have the phone you want. In fact, you don't even have to settle for anything. Which, by the way, the iPhone 13 mini 256. Really happy so far. So we went to Apple in blue even, which is the color I wanted. I'd have been happy with any color. I'd have taken pink, because eventually it's going to end up with lethal anyway. But, so that was, I am, by the way, wandering around my father's complex, and I am up here at, it's not really a gazebo, but it's like the picnic area up on the hill. It's pretty cool. I really like this complex. This is where Jeremy and Rachel used to live as well. many years ago when we were living early in Texas. Anyway, so Apple got everything ready, tried to do the phone activation, and found out that T-Mobile was blocking us getting the phone at Apple. It wouldn't allow them to activate. We spent another hour working on that. During that time, the business support that we had put in ourselves into the queue for something else finally called us back. So we worked with them on that to get the iPhone activated. They had no idea what to do. Apparently had never worked on an iPhone before, but they were very nice and helpful, just like the girl was yesterday with T-Mobile technical support. And after a lot of wrangling, we finally were able to pay in full because T-Mobile actively blocked us getting financing from Apple. They actually have an agreement where T-Mobile can block the transfer of your number if Apple was to give you financing. So just to screw us over, T-Mobile blocked that account for an hour, forced us to wait an hour and a half for customer service to get a hold of us, had us do a really long process that they didn't know anything about. And here's the fire pit. Absolutely gorgeous. I love this. So cute. And we're up at kind of the top of the hill, so there's nice views. It's a sprinkly day. I'm recording this in the afternoon tomorrow. And they finally were able to activate the phone. We now have a working phone. We can make calls, we can get text, we have internet. It is a gorgeous iPhone 13. You can see the quality of the video coming off of it, and I apologize, the last 2 days I didn't understand the settings and I accidentally recorded at 1080p instead of at 4K. It's now at 4K. So today should look even better for those with the higher res screens once it finally processes, right, with Google. One of the reasons with YouTube, Google YouTube, because I post a week out, it's just barely able to process the videos into 4K by the time they release. It takes a week. If I do it at like 3 days, a good half of the videos would still be processing by the time they release. So a lot of you who've been watching the show in the past, when I would release it live every day, would actually get shows in 480p or maybe 720p, and they'd be the highly condensed versions that are kind of blurry, and that is no longer happening now that I'm doing this week out. But I do have some videos that are still at 7 days, just barely finishing in the first few hours of them releasing. That's how long it takes for YouTube these days. They're just so busy processing videos. It takes so much compute power that they spend all that time doing that. So that's one of the reasons that I like doing this. You get much better videos that look great. I'm sure if I was a busier channel, I would get a higher priority. But because I've only got 133 subscribers right now, and there's only a few people watching each video, it's pretty low priority for a high res video to come up. But that's that helps that out. Anyway, so this camera, I'm loving it. I like how it looks. I love the size. I don't have a case yet. We're trying to figure that out. So overall, incredibly frustrating day. But by 2:30 in the afternoon, we finally had a working phone at incredible expense. The old phone is still not dealt with. We are still paying every month for a T-Mobile purchased phone that T-Mobile broke, and T-Mobile will not even provide any attempt at service on, that we can't do anything with. We're trying to figure that out. Paul is now going to deal with that on Monday and try to get our money back or something, or get them to at least unlock it so we can try to fix it. Who knows? But so monetarily, completely screwed over. But from a technology and functionality perspective, finally we are back and starting to get the accounts back up, and it's going to take all evening today before I have most of those things working. WhatsApp and Telegram and Instagram, all that kind of stuff, that's going to take a while. YouTube and all those things. But at least functionally, it's all coming back, and there's no more problems with that. And I have a lot more storage, so I'm going to be able to do a lot more video work for you guys because of the greater functionality. The 13 really takes a leap in the video, especially. It doesn't focus on photography so much. It's only a 12 megapixel sensor, which is fine. My D90 and my Lumix are both 12s, and you get amazing stuff off of that. But with the with 4K video, 12 is plenty for that, right? So there's actually, for the video side, there's no benefit in having a larger sensor unless we're going to start doing image stabilization and stuff like that, which is why GoPro was at 20 megapixel for my Hero 9 and at 23 for the new Hero 10, which I don't have. They get better and better stabilization because of the larger sensor. They can just move, they can adjust more after the fact for 4K video. But other than that, like the sensor is plenty big and looks fantastic. And by having that lower pixel density, it's actually able to do more with low light situations. So there are actual advantages to the smaller sensor, even though it sounds crazy when you think about it. And when you want to blow things up to poster size, obviously 12 megapixel doesn't cut it. Anyway, so that was a very long, very stressful morning. There was a lot of yelling and complaining and frustration, but we have the phone. Now, we ran from there down to the post office in Geneseo. What we thought was allowing ourselves a lot of extra time today is actually cutting things pretty close. We went down to Geneseo, went to the post office, and spent probably 20 minutes packing up and shipping at $50 all of the foodstuffs that Yvonne had sent north for her mother, who lives in Las Vegas. We packed all that up so that the post office could ship it out and send that off to her. So it's 2 giant priority boxes full of like chocolate drink powder and cookies, but stuff that probably only cost $15, maybe $20 to buy in Nicaragua. We had to ship in the United States for $50 after putting it in luggage and flying it from Nicaragua to Miami, to Washington, D.C., to Rochester, New York. It's a little bit crazy. So we were left there, went back to Dad's place, had about 10 minutes, used the bathroom, stuff like that. And then we ran out immediately to go to Mount Morris, where we were scheduled at Walgreens to get our booster shot, our 3rd Pfizer COVID shot, which we just became eligible for. We're really excited to get this out of the way because we wanted to do this on this trip and didn't know if we were going to be able to. So we ran down there, and that was really quick and easy. Completely painless, no side effects or anything, except maybe we slept a little bit more afterwards, but that went exceedingly well. So both Dominica and I have our 3rd shot for COVID. We are now covered for the foreseeable future. There's no more shots expected. Of course, there could be, and everyone's talking about whether it's likely or not, but at this time, there's no projected 4th shot going to be needed. So we feel really happy about that, and that made for a really productive day. We came back from that, and then it was time to deal with dinner for everyone. So since it was already about 4:45, and by the time we got back to Geneseo, it was 5 o'clock. It was definitely time for dinner. So to check off as much as we could on our list all at one time, because some of the things are different for different people, we started at University Hots. I wish I'd gotten video of all this, but I didn't have the camera set up yet, so I couldn't like video any of this stuff while we're doing it. So unfortunately, I just lost some opportunities to get, I did get a couple photographs, so you can check Flickr, but I'd wanted to do a lot more video, and I just haven't had the time to get the camera and all the processes set up, so I'm sorry about that. We went to University Hots. Dominica and I got college plates or garbage plates, which were fantastic as always. They're not as good as I remember, though. I feel like nobody is doing as much as they used to. Just all the food is a lot more phoned in everywhere, and I'm sure just everybody's busy. There's not as much staff. But like potatoes aren't as crispy, the macaroni isn't as creamy, the grilled cheese isn't quite as good, right? Just everything added together is like, oh, it's not quite what it used to be. But we got that, and Luciana got mac and cheese. We then swung into Walmart and went to the grocery store and picked up, Dominica got quite a large number of supplies. I dropped her off and she did a quick runaround and stocked up on vegetarian meat substitutes from Morningstar. It's one of the biggest things that Luciana's missing. And believe it or not, Luciana misses the really, really, really cheap frozen pizzas that you just throw in the oven. Not the good ones, not like the expensive ones. No, the $1 ones. Those have always been her favorite, always been Liesel's favorite. So we grabbed those and brought that back for her for dinner as well, to go with her mac and cheese. While Dominica was doing that, I ran over to Taco Bell, which is the #1 thing that Liesel has been looking forward to, and picked her up a large dinner of her cheesy bean and rice burritos. I ran back, picked up Dominica, who was ready a few minutes after that, came back, and we all had dinner at the house. That got us up till pretty late in the evening. We're planning on going to bed a little bit early because we did have the COVID shots, and of course we do have some plans tomorrow. We hung out, just hanging out in the living room for a while. We played more of the game that I can never remember its name, where you hold up the cards and it's got gibberish and you say things. We all played that and laughed a lot in the living room. And then we set up Dad's laptop, and for a few hours, set up my laptop. Dad set up my laptop with a little table and stuff, and Liesel controlled, and we played Agatha Christie's ABC Murders, which is a point-and-click adventure from Microids that we've owned for a while. It's from 2016. It's got this great hand-drawn art style that's really nice. It's got really good voice acting. The whole thing just makes you feel like you're in an actual Hercule Poirot mystery. The vibe is wonderful. We're really enjoying it. Liesel really liked it. I think Dad really liked it. Dominica was getting sleepy. Luciana's kind of, which is sad because originally when we got it, Luciana was the one who really liked it, and we never played very much, and it was always too hard for her, so it was always me playing and her hanging out. Now it's Liesel playing, and it moves pretty fast because you're not really stuck like in a Nancy Drew where you got to spend a lot of time looking up what to do. It moves a bit faster, which I like, and so it's more of all of us kind of watching a movie, which is really nice. So we really enjoyed that. We played that for a couple hours. We're hoping to do more of that tomorrow. And then it was time for bed. I did do, before I actually went to bed, Dominica went to bed early, and then we got everybody ready for bed. I went and did some editing and shot cut and put together the one episode for, I believe, I think it was the 18th, where I did some new editing. So if you're watching back a few days and see where I have the little picture-in-picture, is the first time I've ever tried to do that. I was like, you know what? This needs picture-in-picture. How do I do that? And I wish I had done some cool effects, but Shotcut does not make keyframes easy. So I gave up. I'm like, I'm just going to do quick edits and see how it overall looks, and wanted to render it through the night because I think it took a few hours to render. My laptop's not slow, but it's not lightning fast, and its 4K rendering does take a while at the bandwidth that I do. So did that, let it run through the night, and I'll be uploading that tomorrow. And tomorrow morning we are also meeting my Aunt Sharon and Uncle Leo at Denny's for brunch at 10 o'clock, so we can get to see them, since it's really our only chance to cross paths while we're here. It was a long, stressful day, but we are at least in good shape. And other than being out some money, at the end of the day, I have a vastly better phone that I absolutely love. Not that I didn't like the OnePlus 8. It was fantastic. OnePlus makes a great phone. I would use OnePlus in the future. I would not get them from a carrier. I would only buy them directly from Oppo or OnePlus. That's their parent company. But I've been wanting to go back to the iPhone. My experience with Samsung especially drove me away from Android. The experience with carrier handling of the OnePlus did not encourage me to stay with Android. Apple was the only real way forward here, which I'm glad. The 13 has exactly what I want. And most importantly, for the last few generations, Apple has been offering the Mini, and that is exactly the phone I want. I know there's rumors that they're going to discontinue it, and I'm super sad about that. The Mini is the perfect phone for me. It has the cameras, it has the size, it has the storage. Everything works for me. This is just the right combination of things. And I do so much filming, and I'm going to be doing so much more filming in the immediate coming future, that having a phone that's a bit more camera oriented is important. And so it's both important for me to keep up a little bit more than I have in the past, and at this point to make the leap from the OnePlus, which was decent, to the iPhone, which I think you're going to be able to tell already from this video just blows it away in how good this looks. And this is just the reverse camera. When I'm doing the forward camera, where I'm doing, the two really good lenses, it should be orders of magnitude better looking than this as well, even though I think they're all 4K 12 meg sensors. All right, that is it for today. I'll see everybody tomorrow.